Hi guys, welcome to the setup instructions for our Newlands Tourister. We really hope you enjoy travelling in it. We'll have a series of videos to explain how to do things. Okay guys, so I'm just going to show you how to do the hitch up process. Back your towing vehicle in underneath, get your tow ball sitting underneath the hitch, and we wind down our jockey wheel just here. Lowering it down until it sits all the way on, and you'll feel the jockey wheel will start to lift off the ground. Once it's off the ground, the weight's on the tow ball. Lift up the locking mechanism and lower it down. Make sure it's latched in position. Undo your handbrake so it's all in and attached. Connect your chains up in a crossed over fashion so that if the tow ball does come off, the crossover will actually catch the ball, which it's not going to do because you've locked it in position. Don't forget, you've got your chains either side there. You'll also have your breakaway emergency brake, which can push through here and come back onto itself. Like that. There we go. So that's our breakaway attached. You're going to make sure you've got your trailer lights connected, your charge cable with your Anderson plug, and your camera cable. If you've got the camera cable, that enables you to use the rear vision camera behind the van. Not a necessity, but very handy. The next steps is stow your jockey wheel so you don't lose it into the toolbox, and then just make sure that you've put your handle back in and just given it a little nip up. It doesn't have to be super tight. That'll still be loose, but you've got to just make sure that's nipped up so it doesn't rattle out in transit. And check our lights are on. It's useful to throw your hazards on because then you can confirm you've got your indicators working and that they're wired correctly and not wired to your brake lights or anything silly. If you've got a second person with you, you can get them to pump the brakes and prove the brake lights are also working. Okay, so before you take off with the van, once you've been through, you've done your hitch up, you've done your checklist to make sure your legs are all up and your antennas away and your gas is off, what you want to do is when you pull forward, first of all, is just check your trailer brake. So depending on whether it's a button push or a lever across, is to make sure you've got trailer brake on, and if you wind your window down, you'll hear the brake go on. If you pull forward, pull the brake on the van and you'll hear it go and you'll feel it lock up. So at the moment I've got no foot on the brake, no foot on the accelerator, and it's the trailer brake that's pulling me up. As you take off, it's useful to take a moment just to adjust the trailer brake depending on what your trailer brake is set to. Usually in my BT50 it was around 3 to 4, just so that it's not pulling the car up and wearing the brakes out on the trailer, nor is the trailer pushing you forward as you go. You just want to feel it so that it applies nice and evenly with your vehicle brakes. Alright, I'm just going to talk you through a quick mental checklist to make sure you've got it before you go. First of all, make sure your antenna is down. It's good to work from the top to the bottom, but make sure your antenna and all your flaps are closed up on your roof. Quick visual check is good. Then you want to go around, just double check your step is away, your door is locked, your awning nuts are done up, the clips are closed, and everything's secure there. It's good to do a quick visual walk around the van Make sure that each of your back legs is up. Count all 4 back legs are up. Make sure that all your hatches are all closed properly and secure. Then you want to come to the front, make sure your gas is turned off. Both bottles, it's always good to check. Then double check your hitch. Your jockey wheel's away, the lever's done back up so you don't lose it in transit. Make sure you've got your chains hooked up. Make sure your locking pin is down and latched. Make sure you have your 3 cables connected and your emergency brake connected. I'm going to give you a quick little rundown on the jack, just in case you don't need to use it. The jack attaches to this little side bit here where the mud flap is and hooks onto there. So you'll see there's a little lip here. The jack winds down to hook onto that. You can also pull this pin out and lower the jack down to the right height if you can't get it down enough. Your jack goes under there. You wind the handle up. It'll lift the van up enough to change your tyre. It's worth noting particularly that the jack hinges this way, and if you don't get it level, it'll just lean the jack over more as you lift, which is not what you want to do. So it's important to make sure your jack is nice and level. If anything, it can point ever so slightly inwards, so as it lifts and the van tips away from you, the jack levels up nicely. Spare tyre, if you need it, is on the back here. 3 nuts to undo that one first and take this off, and then you can get to the other 2. It's fairly quick and easy to change a tyre over if you need to. Wheel brace is in the front toolbox. Okay, I'm just going to show you quickly how to put the jockey wheel back on. Undoing our red handle. There's multiple heights it can sit at, to whichever's going to give you the most amount of height when you're adjusting your van. Sometimes if you've got to jack it up really high to get the van level, you'll need to get it down to the bottom section. If your jockey wheel's bottomed out here, you can always get it up as high as you can, then use your front legs to catch the van and adjust your height. Then you can take the weight off the jockey wheel, adjust it to a lower position, and then lift it up again further. As you do it up, it's really useful just to take the weight off the jockey wheel and wind it in, and then that way it just stops helps stop the red handle from cross threading as you put it in. It doesn't have to be like super mega tight, because again, the groove here will help lock the weight in, so don't feel you've got to tighten it till it bends. Then we just lift it, wind your jockey wheel down, and it'll start to pick up the weight of the van. When you're unhitching the van, the very first thing besides the jockey wheel is putting your handbrake on. Make sure you got your brake in position. Should look like that. Pop your lock up and lift. Wind your jack. It's really important that you make sure you've got your brake on and leave your chains attached while you unhitch the van. If it's on a hill and you've forgotten to put the handbrake on, as soon as you lift it off the ball, it'll want to roll away down the hill. So it's really important. Put your brake on and don't disconnect your chains. You can see there as it's lifted off, it's just moved a little bit forward, even under the pressure of the brake. So then you can disconnect your chains, your light connector, in your power cable. Okay, so once we've disconnected our car, we're going to pull forward so that you can lower the hitch down to get your van level. It's really useful to use a level on your phone, and I normally just sit it here on the drawbar, which will give us a good reference. If you've got a camera or a bump on your phone case, you can overhang it into there so it sits nice and level, and then just wind it down until it's level. Then we're going to fold down our legs. There is a longer winding bar, but also the wheel brace will also do the trick on the 19mm. That's the one there. To do these, you've just got to take the weight off the pin. It makes it nice and easy to pull the pin out, and then it folds down. Once it's folded down, you can then slot your 19mm on, and the reason I use my wheel brace as opposed to the bar is that the wheel brace, you can hold it in your hand and spin it, and that'll make it come down a lot quicker. Okay, so once the leg's wound all the way down, and you'll feel it take a bit of tension, I normally give it about 5 turns, just enough so that you feel it start to lift the van up. You don't have to be lifting the van all the way off the ground, but just enough to take pressure on it. It shouldn't lift the van all the way. It'll probably break before that point, but you'll feel it as you go to tighten it. In the toolbox, down the front here, is also some extra timbers that you can use for if the ground is particularly muddy and it stops chucking the timbers down will stop it sinking into the ground. Likewise, if you need some extra height because you're not quite level, because it's a steep hill or whatever reason, you can also build up the legs at one end with the timbers. If you're not level left to right, we've got one of these devices here, which you sit behind the wheel and then just back the van slowly up onto it. Definitely, it's kind of important to use a spotter on this because you don't want to pop the wheel off the back end of it, so it's useful to have someone to call you back. But you can use that to just lift the van up enough to level it off. And then it's also important, once you've got it on there, that you utilize the wheel chocks as well, which are here. So before you go unhitching or anything, it's really important, once you've run it up onto the leveling ramp, that you stick the chock in as well, and that'll just stop it pushing off and taking off down the ramp when you undo your hitch. Okay, I'm just going to give you a quick tour of our little toolbox at the front here. In the toolbox is your water hoses. Both the white one and the blue one are good for drinking water. Then you've got your grey water hoses. Generally, I always use the shorter one as much as possible. The longer one is there for caravan parks with a drain that is further away, but the grey one tends to cause the shower to back up because it doesn't get the water out quick enough. So generally the black one is the go as much as possible. Underneath this in the corner is also a range of tap connections. So you'll see you've got hose extension adapters, you've got spare hose ends, and you've got various thread adapters for tap connections. So I always just keep them in the corner here where it's nice and easy to find them when you're setting up. Also in here we have our ramp for adjusting the height of the vehicle, which I'll talk through in a separate video. We have our wheel chock, which also goes with the ramp. We have our hitch lock, which if you're leaving your van and heading out for the day, it's important to have the hitch lock on to stop it getting stolen. In here we also have our jack for changing tyres. And we've got some timbers which are good for sticking underneath the wheels or underneath the jack as required. If it's muddy or if you need some extra height, the timbers are really handy. Also in the front here, we've got our jerry can spout for the jerry cans on the back. And that's it for the toolbox. Guys, I've just realised I've also missed out some videos on the connection of water, power and the grey water or the drainage hose. Hoses are in the front toolbox, power cables in the front toolbox. Power connects on the driver's side about halfway down. There's a little black flap to lift up. Plug in your socket there and then plug your 240 power into your source. Next to that is also a flap with a little circuit breaker in it that you can reset if it trips. It never has, but if for whatever reason it's got a safety switch in it, so you can check you've got power there. Water at driver's side at the rear, just behind the wheel, is the hose connection for the town water. You can hook up there. If you're running off tank water, the filler cap is about halfway down on the driver's side. You just got to push it in and turn to open it. And then I normally use a little hose extension adapter, click that into your hose, and then you can poke it into the hole and use that to fill your tanks if you need to. And then the grey water hose connects just behind where the water connection is, just at the back corner on the driver's side of the van. There is an outlet, and it's just a simple push on and give it a twist to push the hose onto the pipe, and then you can run it across to a drain for the grey water to go. Okay, I'm just going to give you some quick instruction on getting the gas lighted and gas all turned on and ready to go. First of all, around here, if you are using hot water via gas, you need to open this door. If you're not and you're just using it via electricity, it doesn't matter. But you just undo the elastic and fold that down, and that'll sit quite happily like that. That then goes into your check when you're packing up. You need to make sure you've closed that up, hooked it up, and turned your gas back off. But what we're going to do is turn our gas on now. So at the moment it's in the closed position. I'm going to turn the gas on. 3 or 4 turns is usually enough. This little arrow here points at the gas can that you're using. When this one runs out, you can turn it off, turn this lever over to your next can and open it up, and repeat this process. It's important then you go in the van and check your stove. So we're going to open the stove up. We're going to turn the knob and ignite it till you see the gas light. You can let it burn for a little bit and just make sure there's no air pockets and that it's all flowing nicely. Once that's done, you can then come across to your fridge. If you're on electricity, which it is at the moment, then it's not going to run on gas at any rate. But if, say for example, you wanted to run it on gas, we'd flick it over to gas, select it, and then hit enter, and you'll see it try and ignite. You can hear a little click as it tries to light. If you try and do it with the gas off, it'll go into error, and the easiest way to clear the error by just holding the button down. It'll make a beep, the red light will go away, and then it'll try and ignite again. So if, for example, if you've pulled up somewhere, you've turned your car off and it's disconnected but you're not on power, then it'll try and light on gas. But if you're busy leveling and you haven't turned your gas on yet, it goes into error. So then once you turn your gas on, bleed the gas through your stove and make sure it's flowing nicely. Then come and clear the error on your fridge, and the fridge will kick over to gas, no problems. It's an automatic 3-way fridge. So generally speaking, we just always leave it on auto, and then it'll automatically sense. If it's got electricity, it automatically switches across to electricity. If there's no electricity, it'll try gas, and if it can't reach the gas, then it'll go across to 12 volt. But you've got to be aware that then causes drain on your battery. The next step is your hot water. If you're running your hot water on gas, you can then come over. You want to do this little lever up, this little button up here. If you're on electricity, you turn on that. HWS is your hot water service switch for running it on electricity. We're going to try and run it on gas at the moment. You can run it on both if you want to heat up your water nice and quickly. You must have your trapdoor open on the outside first. Flick it down or up, just 2 different temperatures. Generally speaking, hot is good because it will you use less water, less hot water. So if you've got a family of 4 and everyone wants to turn at the hot shower, 75 is good. You'll see it'll flick then as you switch it on. You'll hear it click down the bottom and you'll hear the gas light, and then off it goes. If by some chance it does a little error, it'll come up after a couple of minutes trying to light and goes into error. There's a little red light that comes on and stays lit. That means it's in error. If it does that, you can switch it back off again. You'll hear it click. Give it a couple of minutes and then try it again. If you leave the flap shut, for example, say you forget to open the flap, it'll go into error. And then that reminds you to go out, open the flap, and then come back in and try it again. Hear the click. And then you'll hear the gas lighted. And then off it will go. Okay, quickly looking at our electrical system. We've got 12 volt isolation here. That will turn off anything draining on your battery. You've got your light switches here, your main, your awning, your bunks up the back, and your bedroom, which is your main bedroom part there. Once you've turned your 12 volt isolation on, you can come over here and it gives you a control panel here. You can see on the control panel it's been hooked up to power, which is charging the batteries. The batteries are at full charge. It's inputting 2.5 amps and outputting 2.5 amps. So as it's draining, it's just feeding it enough to do the supply and not overcharge the batteries. Up the top here, we've got our water pump, which runs on 12 volt. If you're on town power, you can leave that turned off. You don't need to run the water pump. If you're on town power, town water, the water pressure will take care of that. If you're off grid and not connected to water, then you'll need to turn that on, and that water pump then supplies pressure to the taps and to the toilet flush. It's always handy to make sure you turn that on. If you do stop to use the loo while you're driving, you will need to turn that on to enable the water pump on the toilet for the flush. HWS, you've got hot water service, which is the electrical hot water service on this one. Flick that on and then that'll just run the hot water service. It's important to make sure you don't run out of water with the hot water service. Don't try and run it empty or it puts it into an error mode. And then you've got your AC controller here, which you can leave off, turn it on when you need to turn the air conditioning on. Over here we've got our water level meter. Push on that button indicates that we're full chock-a-block of water. Generally, when you fill it up, it won't always show the very top one, depending on what angle the van is sitting on. So usually 4 bars is pretty full. Turning on your AC, just flick your switch here. Air conditioning runs on 240 volt, as does your washing machine. So if you're running off battery power, you can't run the washing machine or the air conditioning. Switch on, and then you've got your remote here, which turns it on, and off it goes. It'll do its thing. It's got a little Velcro thing to attach it down here, so you don't lose it while it's in transit. Doesn't slide off anywhere. Then we've got window vents. Your roof line's open that way. You've also got a fly net there. To move these, you just pull a lever like that, which is just rotating it with your hand, and then slide it to open up and let some fresh air in. There's 3 of these along the way. It is important that you remember to close them before you travel. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then in the bathroom you've also got a vent here which winds up with the handle, and a fan you can turn on and run. It's important to make sure you do open those up, even in humid. If it's a bit rainy outside, just open them up a little bit and run the fans, and that'll just stop anything getting too steamy or mouldy, depending on which part of the country you're in. Sometimes it can get like that, so it's important to just vent it. When you travel with your shower, we always pop the shower rose down in the tub at the bottom, and then that'll stop, it stops it falling off in transit. Otherwise, when you go over a bump, the first thing it does is fall down and bang around down the bottom of the shower. So throw it in the basket, and then when you get to your destination, you can pop it back up the top. Our washing machine is up the end. Open the door, take the lid off. We normally just sit the lid there so it's nice and out of the way. No one stubs their toe on it. Your washing machine is here. You can push the power button is there. It'll sing a little song. When you open the lid, you'll find there is a couple of complimentary wash tablets and your peg basket. It has clips at either end to pull back. Just here, pull that back, and then you can lift it out, and then there's the washing machine. Pop your clothes in, pop in your washing detergent or washing tablet, and then shut your lid. Then you've got water level, process, which you can select wash, rinse or spin, or a rapid 18-minute wash, or a 30-minute full wash. Then you just hit start and off it goes. It'll do its thing. When using the washing machine, it is important to remember that the washing machine uses lots of water, like you want at home. You can use it off grid, but then you'll run out of water. So it's important that you either have a ready supply of water or be connected to town water before you use the washing machine. Generally, when I'm off grid, I'll either go and use a laundrette for my washing, or alternatively, I will have a couple of jerry cans of water that I'll use to top up my tanks. Run down on the windows. Let's do it on this one because it's nice and easy. You have the option of a fly screen, a shut blind. We'll disconnect them, and you have your levers, 4 levers on each window. Push it open. Of course, I've chosen the one with the door behind it, so it won't open all the way. There is points where it will click and latch open, but alternatively, you can use these tighteners here just to tighten it into position, hold it in position. Don't forget to loosen them off before you close the window. When you close the window, all 4 latches up. You'll notice that the latches are always in that position as a nice visual check to make sure that you haven't left them unlocked when you're packing up. In the pocket at the end of the lounge, you'll find our pre-adventure checklists. There's one for your pick up and return with Camplify, and also one provided by Adventure Caravans, which give us external and internal reminders and our hookup reminders to make sure we've got everything done. Always really useful because things are very easily forgotten. Okay, now we're going to set up the awning. The first steps to do are to undo these locks here and loosen off the cross arm nuts. We'll do the same on the other side. Undo that clip and loosen off the cross arm lock. We just do the reverse when it comes to setting up. Then up the top here, we've got a little ratchet lever, just that one there. Flick it so that you can pull it out. Come across to this bit here to pull this. It helps if you pull the step out, and you can reach up and you give it a pull, come out. There it goes. Pull that all the way down. Put it all the way out until you've got it all the way to the end, like that. And the next step is to slide our cross arms in place. You'll see there's a little button here and a little lever underneath. You can just gently pull that button and that lowers it down. You can slide it into position and it locks in place on that button. We do the same at the other end. Slide our cross arm out, pull our button down, slide it over the top, and it locks in place. Okay, the next step is to lift up. So we've got a handle here with a little trigger lever on it. Take a little bit of weight, pull the trigger, and then you can slide it up to height. Depending on how high you're going to go, you might need to do it in stages. You can get someone to help and do both at the same time. Keeps it square, which is good. But otherwise it's easily doable on its own. It does flex on these points here. It's handy when you're setting up your awning to leave it lower at one end, which will help it drain. So we go up one more stage. There we are. So as I said, it's useful to keep that one end just a little bit lower so that then it drains properly. We then go up to our cross arms and do up the nut to lock it in place. We'll come across here and do up this nut as well. Then over in our little toolbox by the front section here. Okay, in the drawer here we have our anti-flap clamps, one on each end, in about the middle. They just need to be open enough to slide on. We go up like that. Usually I stick it around about where the locking nut is. Slide it on, do up that nut, and then attach the strap. Once it's done and in position, it should look something like this. And you'll see it's got some nice tension, which will stop it flapping in the breeze. Once you've done that, that's your awning all set up. Also in our drawer with our anti-flaps is our door mats. We've got a muck mat here, which is particularly useful if the weather is wet. It will help keep muddy feet out of the van. Pop the doorstep on like that. And then in our drawer is a couple of Velcro straps, which you can use to attach it. It's a simple loop around and Velcro situation, one either side, and that just stops it sliding around or sliding off. Don't forget to take it back off, pack it back up before you travel, because it will blow off. Okay, to pack it back up, we do the reverse. We take our anti-flap clamps off, we undo those locking nuts, and the same at the other end. Now we can lower our ends down. Again, if you're doing it on your own, it's useful to do in stages. And go back to this end on the outside. Lower it down. Then we come up to our cross arms, pull your little trigger underneath again. Just make sure there's no tension on the button when you do it. Pull it, and then you should be able to just slide it straight past the button and slide it all the way down. At this point, leave these nice and loose, because they'll need to be that way when it folds up. Take the tension off just a little bit, and it'll slide over the button nice and easy. Slide that down. Okay. Sometimes when it's set up, our little pull down strap will blow out in the wind. So it's useful while it's set up just to tie it off to the arms so you don't lose it. We put this back into place. Just slide it in there like that. Slide it to about the middle, somewhere close to in line with the step is great, because it means you can pull it out again when you move. Then what we've got to do is flick this lever, which changes the ratchet direction, so it will start to wind up. And we just gently fold it up, mind your fingers as it comes into position. And give this just a gentle line up here to push it in. And then once it's done, you just clip that in and do up your little nut here, and then you're good to go.